This is Tom with Fresh Vintage. Today we are replacing the window regulator in this 98 Honda Accord. This has been working, and I say working like it looks fine. It doesn't sound so fine though, and if we were to hold the microphone like directly to the door, sometimes you don't hear anything. Sometimes you hear the motor struggling. Sometimes you actually hear like binding up. We're gonna do the proactive thing, and we're going to replace this now before it gets to where it's right there and it won't go up and then rain is on the way. So to get started, let's show you the tools that we have. We have everything laid out right here. Granted, we may not need every single thing, but we brought our tool, our plastic trim removal kit here. It's always nice to have that. We have a number 2 Phillips. We also have a flat blade bit, but if you have a flat blade screwdriver and a number 2 Phillips, that's probably a great idea. 3/8 drive socket, and everything I've seen calls for a 10 millimeter, but we just have some extra sockets out here just in case. A few little clips you need to pop out, and right here is one of them, and then there is a second one right down in the actual door hand grab here. So let me work on popping these out, and then we'll get to the Phillips screw that's behind both of those. So I was trying the trim removal piece, and that plastic was just too thick, so I have a really thin flat blade here, and I popped this out. This actually comes from inside here, and you'll see the Phillips head screw in here, but I'm just going to drop that in our tray. And this one was kind of interesting because we popped this loose, and then I kid you not, the only thing I can think of is that black goop is the actual like tar or sticky stuff that's holding the plastic on the inside. Let me shift gears from our flat blade to our number 2 Phillips, and then we can take these Phillips screws out. Let me do that right now. There we go. And the rest of the screw's clean. It's just that's what's going on. So there we go. That's just a little plastic piece that pops in. And I keep saying, if you've never done this before, if you worked on cars before, you know the drill here, but if you've never done this before, there's a bunch of plastic pieces that are holding this in, and it's a balance of just literally yanking on this and applying just enough force to get this to pull off of here. And you'll see what I mean as soon as I start pulling on this. See right there, one just popped here, one popped here, and you just keep going. You see I just got 2 or 3 of them to pop there, but you don't want to just manhandle this. You just want to give it just enough, because this stuff is plastic. You can break stuff pretty easily, so there you go. Now I'm guessing this will just come off if I pull on it. There we go. There's just a couple clips. So I'm just going to set this in the car so it doesn't disappear. Now, before you just go gleefully just start pulling on all this and pulling it off the door, you want to be careful because there's a actual door lock mechanism back here, and there's wiring here. So you want to kind of pick this up and out, and let me kind of show you in action. Okay, so you can see that came out of there no problem. The question is, why is it that? Because most of the time they just pop right off, and there's just wiring and a rod that goes from this handle back here to actuate the door lock to unlock the door. And aha, there we go. So it just took a little bit of me doing this, and back here, it's kind of hard to see. Let me show you as close as I can get. So right here, you just want to push on this plastic piece and slip that off of the end of this rod. And that rod will pop up like that. And then before you gleefully pull this away and rip your wiring, and then you got to deal with that, just take this. And so take that piece off, and I feel pretty comfortable saying this should, yeah, there we go. So here's our door. And because this is so accessible, I'm just going to take this out. That came out extremely easy. Just have patience here, because sometimes these will fight you. They do not, they go in at the factory and they really don't ever want to come back out. But let's Pull this one out. There we go. And there's one more wire before you rip your wire yanking on this thing here. Let me just get this to where I can see it. This is just, we're just going to twist the bulb out. That's actually an LED bulb, which is why it looks like that. And I believe, there we go. So let me set this back here. So again, for the newbies who've never done this before, good job on not breaking anything. Just have patience. And you can see, for some reason, this screw, I thought it had black tar back here or something, but there's none of that going on. So who knows what happened there. Let me pull this plastic off. And before I do that, you can see this bracket is in the way. So let me switch to the number 2 Phillips. There's that. And now this, I'm pretty sure, is a 10 mil. There's another screw down here. So there's that little bracket. Let me grab the 10 millimeter to get this off of here, because we're gonna have to pull this all completely out of the way. Oops. And actually that's so loose, I can just use my fingers for the rest of it. Put that nut in our tray. Okay. So I see some plastic things here. We're just gonna kind of carefully do that. And then I'm just gonna take that out, because you know, if we don't, it's gonna fall, and then we're gonna kick it, and then we're like, where'd it go? So just like that. Carefully pull this back. Originally we thought someone had been in this door before, but now I'm starting to wonder, because this feels like the original OEM goop, so to speak. There's that. And I don't necessarily want to pull this all the way off if I can help it, because putting that back on and getting it exactly right, you never do it if you take it all the way off. So all right, so we have the plastic down, and looking at the assembly, you can't see it, but it's kind of back here, and knowing it has to come out of this hole. Right now the window's in the way, so the nice thing about taking this out of the door is you don't have to have the entire door skin here and be dealing with that. But we also want to get this window to where A, it's out of the window regulator way so we can come out, and B, there's bolts, and let me show you as I move this up, there's bolts that have to line up with these holes so that you can actually disconnect the glass part of the window from the actual regulator to get it out, and then install the new one. So we're gonna go right about there, and you can see the bolt heads here. I'm gonna bump that a little bit more. So we're right about there. I'm just gonna go down. There we go. They're pretty much perfect. So I'm going to turn the car off and then disconnect this. Let me grab the 10 millimeter. So looking back here, your window track is actually over here. So the bolt I pointed out earlier, that's actually my goof. It's right here. This is your window track. And over here you have your other window track. So your actual regulator, there's bolts here and here. And then I believe the actual motor, yeah, is right here. So that assembly needs to get unbolted and then pulled out of the hole in here. So let me work on getting some of these bolts out, and then we'll get the new one out of the box and show you what it looks like. So real quick, we have a 10 millimeter. This is an impact, and we have the ratchet here, but since we have the Hercules unit here, really solid, durable unit, we figured why not use it. So the 10 millimeters have to come out here and here, and then the actual motor itself is right here. And looking at this, I'm wondering, that will, okay, that's just deep enough. This is a shallow socket, so to speak, but it's just deep enough to where it'll actually grab that and turn it. So I'm going to get all these out of here right now. So that immediately wants to drop to the ground. So definitely take note when you get those bolts out of there. The weight of the window is actually on that. There we go. So that will want to drop down, but there's our bolts. And now in looking at this, I wonder if I can get, I can't. So keep in mind and don't do what we just did, because we pulled these out first and now the bolts here drop to where I actually can't get the socket and extension on them. So I'm going to do this, and in theory, yeah, should be able to bump that up just enough. There we go. There we go. Do this. Now you're going to have to support this window because I can already feel it's trying to go down. And what I don't want it to do is go down and shatter, because that would obviously make for a very bad day. But I'm going to take the actual ratchet off and then support this, because you can definitely, if I do that, like, these get a lot harder to come out. So I'm going to carefully work this out of here. Now if I let go of this, it's probably going to immediately fall, so I want to be careful about this. So I want to grab that bolt out of here. There's our bolt, and just be careful because this is sharp. And I want to see if I can disengage this from the actual mechanism here. We'll let it slide down past that. It actually won't, so that may require a little bit of finesse when you pull the entire regulator out. But I'm going to turn my attention to the bolts here, and you can see there's a few spots on this door that have a hole. And what I mean is, like, this motor, I should be able to loosen these somewhat, not all the way, and take the bolts out, but I should be able to turn this and pop it out. And we're gonna test that theory right now. So I'm gonna leave those about halfway in. Then I'm gonna take this, because this is an actual nut. So it's actually a nut on a stud, it looks like. Interesting, okay. And knowing that window is going to try to fall, let's carefully take everything out one by one. I'm going to assume this is my wiring for my motor, so I'm going to pop this off. I'm going to make sure the car's ignition's off first, and then disconnect this. So there's that. So you didn't see it on camera, but the window decided to, the front dropped out of the track and the whole thing went down. I am very thankful the window did not shatter, to be 100% honest. So a kind of a low-tech solution to this, we ran into the house and literally grabbed a rubber door stop, and then we just jammed this thing on down in here to where the window, and I'll do it a little bit more, the windows still go down, but it's gonna kind of where it's at, it's just wedged in place. So kind of an extra tool, not really automotive tool, but in this case it works well. So the good news is we have the regulator out. And this again will take just some time, some patience. And now that I'm looking, I'm pretty sure our motor wiring is held in the door right here by that. So, yep, that's what it was, because the motor was kind of stuck beforehand. Take your time. It'll come out little by little. There we go. And here is our unit, our actual old regulator. And these things, you can see they start fraying. I don't see any obvious signs of fraying. But when we did this on my CRV, it actually had stopped moving, and the wire was actually broken here, and it got bound up in this pulley. So it's good that we're replacing this now, because if you think your window's starting to get slow, it's probably because this cable very well could start fraying inside your door. And then one day it just stops working. But let's grab the new one, and we'll show you the part number on it, and we'll pull it out of the box. Opening this up, this is the actual new regulator. And as you can see, it looks identical. And we'll just give it a quick comparison. Honestly, I just want to see what the length of it looks like. Yeah, that's good. So with the new regulator, we actually have a bolt that came in it from Dorman with right here. And then if you flip this over, you see that instead of bolts, there's actually studs that have a nut on them. And the idea is this hole here, you can hang this unit and then just line the rest of your holes up and pretty quickly assemble this back into the vehicle. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Let me get this in the door and then you'll see it kind of just drop into place. So this is a part of the video where everyone says, oh, just installation is reverse of assembly, and they chuckle. But in all seriousness, you know, you just want to slowly work this back into the door and then get this underneath the actual window, the side of the window here. And there's that bolt right there. And then over here, this you can see it's almost lining up perfectly. So let me just find the actual, there's that one, there's that one. And that's why they put those on there, because it makes it that much faster. So I'm going to grab, this top one had this stud nut combo with the washer on it. So let me put this one on. So a few quick things. You can see how that fell into place. There's the motor, and I was able to get that in there. That, for some reason, yours probably won't do it, but this one kind of went in a little hard, but it's threading properly now. This is why they put that bolt in there, because you can see all the holes line up. And in fact, let me just grab a bolt here, and I'll just throw it in right here. This is nice because it has variable speed, like right a little bit there, and then if you want full speed, but you're not gonna accidentally like just hammer this thing and break something or strip something. If you want to go nice and slow and go nice, there you go, boom, tight, so you're not cranking it down and not actually damaging anything. There we go. Let me get the rest of the bolts in for the actual. There we go. So let me move the window. I see the holes here for the window, so let me actually bring the window down and see if I can get everything to line up, and then I'll throw the bolts in it. And let me show you here how easy that was. These like dropped right into place. So if you watch the holes, like come over here and take a look. So there's your holes here, and that window like literally just fell directly where it needed to. So I'm going to work on putting the bolts in and tightening them down right now. Tight. And so don't forget about your wiring down here. You feed this back through. There we go. We're going to put this in to the door, and we're going to point this way because the wiring is actually not long enough to spin around like I had it originally. So I'm just going to do this, and there's our window regulator power. So let's turn the car on. Before you go putting the door all back completely together, let's just give the door, let's give the window kind of a run down and up. And it's in the track, so let's go up. There we go. Make sure you put this through here. And this is where that little plastic piece comes in handy to hold that up. So real quick, we were testing the door lock here, and we're like, uh-oh, it's not working. But then we realized if you plug this in, it completes a circuit. You should hear this click. So for some reason, the circuit for the door lock runs through this. So if you are doing this and you give your door locks a try, with this unplugged, don't panic, because you need to have this plugged in to complete the circuit. But to start putting this back on, I'm going to put this on the stud and then put the nut on here, and that'll reference where I need to be over here, because you have the 2 Phillips screws. So I'm going to grab both my Phillips screws. So the specific way this goes on, and this is the correct way, because if you try to do this, it won't work. If you try to do this, it won't sit right. It's going to sit goofy. So you need this to come in here, and then that to go over top of it. And let me just start this screw. Actually, forgive this is a little convoluted because you're fighting that plastic and you're lining up like 2 holes, so to speak. But do that. And then let me get the screwdriver on it. And you can't really see that well. There we go. But it's through the plastic. And I'll start that one. And let me just get this hole referenced properly down here. And we'll tighten this guy up over here. That's tight. This is tight. And let's go ahead and put the door back together. So let me grab this skin. And looking at this, if you've never done this before, for the folks that have done this a million times, you know the drill. But for the new folks out there, there's an actual lip right here. So what you want to do is, knowing your wiring, you're going to have to be careful with that. But you want to line this up with the actual door lock mechanism. There we go. And this will actually hang just like that on the edge of the door frame there. And looking at our wiring, this needs to come out here. Don't forget about your light. Your wiring is right there, and then your actual light is right down here. And you should be able to kind of do this without seeing the exact spot, because it should just push in there, and with a little bit of finesse, there we go, and it just locks in place like that. And now you can just give a little push. This will start clicking back into place. And I'm going to start with my door handle and lock button. There's that. And this is pretty easy. It's just like taking it off of there, but you insert and then flip the little plastic thing. Boom, click, and you're done. And then let's plug these back in. Click. Click. And another click. We'll carefully wiggle these down in here. Now I will say there's a tab right over here, so you kind of want to like do this first and then push this down, and it'll click in place. Door lock. Let's give the other windows a try just for the heck of it. So we have this back together, and we'll give the window a try here. We'll just try the back window real quick. Okay, so it's on, off. There we go. So those are the 3 windows, and obviously this works. So let's put the screw back in place. Okay. It's kind of hard to see down in there, but these kind of clip in. You have to click them into the front. There we go. And this pops back in place. If I can get it, there we go. But don't do that. So let me pull it back off of there. Put that in first. There we go. And there's that. And I'm just going to give one more push along the edge. You don't have to get crazy with this, but just make sure those pins are popped in. And that's it, folks. You're done. You have replaced your own window regulator. You saved yourself some money. Don't pay someone to do it. You can do it yourself. And with that, if you like classic cars, if you like muscle cars, if you like scooters, if you like tech, if you like keeping your cars certified fresh and on the road, Fresh Vintage, your channel, please like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.